Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm going to turn my microphone over to this section of the room. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you to welcome Shabbat. I'm Cantor Amanda Kleinman, joined by my wonderful colleague, Cantor Danielle Rodniski, by Pete Malinverney, our pianist and conductor at WRT, and a little bit later on in our service, we'll have the opportunity to hear some words of Torah from Dr. Chip Glassman. We're looking forward to hearing from you soon. So summer here in Scarsdale is in full swing. It is hard to believe then that in the Jewish calendar, actually at the end of next Shabbat, we will be welcoming in the Hebrew month of Elul, the beginning of the Hebrew month that leads us into the high holidays. A few weeks ago, we observed Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the observance which commemorates the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. It's sort of a low point for the Jewish people in our calendar, and the weeks that follow Tisha B'Av are all weeks of comfort, during which we read Haftarah portions of comfort that sort of begin in a subtle way the process of spiritual preparation leading us into the high holidays, and that process will begin in earnest next week. And I hope that this Shabbat is for us a time of renewal, a time for spiritual preparations as we look forward in the not too distant future to this holiest time in our Jewish calendar. And so at this time, we will continue by kindling the lights of Shabbat. Amen. And we'll continue welcoming Shabbat on page 128 with the words of Yedid Nefesh. This is the melody with which we began our service. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la
Yishtacha
of the purpose of Kabbalat Shabbat, the section of our service that begins our Shabbat worship, is to give us an opportunity to contemplate the week that has passed, to think about what we might want to take with us, what we might want to leave behind. Traditionally, Kabbalat Shabbat includes 6 psalms, and each psalm is an opportunity to think about one of the 6 days of the week that has passed, so that hopefully by the time we get to Lecha Dodi, we've had a chance to take a breath, to think a little bit, and to consider what it is that we want to let go of and what it is that we want to take with us. And so as we prepare to sing the words of Lecha Dodi together, I'll read a brief meditation from our prayer book, take an opportunity to reflect a little bit on the week that has passed. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. Page 138. We continue with Lecha Dodi. We'll sing together verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and before the final verse, we'll rise and face the door to greet the Shabbat bride.
Shabbat
46, we remain standing. Baruchu et Adonai HaMivorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMivorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMivorach leolam va'ed. Please be seated. Page 149. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch et Adonai, Amari Varavi.
Amen. Page 150. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Ki hem chayenu Be'orech yameinu U'lahem negeh Yomam v'layla Ve'ahavatecha Al tasir mimenu le'olami Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Shabbat has multiple purposes. We know, of course, that Shabbat is a time of rest, a time of renewal, but Shabbat is also meant to be a call to action. The hope is that by ceasing from work, by pausing from acts of creation, we have the opportunity to become attuned to the world around us and perhaps to become newly aware of our obligations and of our responsibilities. And so in that light, a reading before Mi Chamocha, if you'd like to follow along, it's on page 173. Disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of the living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Mi Chamocha, page 158. Mi Chamocha, Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Ner Kodesh, Nora, Tehilo, Baruch atah Adonai, Ka'al Yisrael. Page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. גיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד חטא, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. We take a few moments now to pray silently. The traditional words of the Amidah continue through page 181, or you can just take a few moments for your own silent reflection, either standing or seated. It is my pleasure now to introduce this Shabbat's guest darshan, Dr. Chip Glassman. Chip and his family have been members of WRT for 2 decades. He is an incredibly well-respected physician in our community, having served as a urologist in White Plains for 40 years, but is also a very humble person, as evidenced by the fact that he told me to introduce him by talking about his family. And so with that, I will say that Chip is married to Debbie Glassman, a former trustee of our congregation. He is proud father of Rebecca, married to Ari, and of Daniel, married to Melissa, and even prouder grandfather of Asher, Leora, Ezra, and Max. And so with that, it is my pleasure to call upon Dr. Chip Glassman to offer words of Torah to our congregation.
Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. The setting in today's Parsha is Deuteronomy, the 5th and final book of the Torah. And from a plateau of Moab, east of Jericho, across the Jordan River, Moses continues his closing address to the children of Israel. Knowing his days are few, he prepares them for life without him. He has gone as far as God will allow, and so this is his last chance before he turns them over to his successor, Joshua, who will then lead them into the Promised Land. This segment, Akev, begins with Moses promising the Israelites that if they fulfill the covenant of the Torah, they will be safe and protected from all enemies while prospering in the new land. And throughout this Parsha, there are references to this tempting bounty, ending with the second part of the Shema, where he describes a fertile wonderland. Well, God will provide rain for their land in season, early and late rains for rich harvests, allowing them to gather new grain, wine, oil, and provide grass for their cattle, and thus eat their fill. But in doing so, he also rebukes these people. This has been a trying 40 years for Moses. He says to the Israelites, "As long as I have known you, you have been defiant toward the Lord," and goes on to remind them of all the many ways God has come to their aid, only to be disappointed by their trespasses. God, in frustration, says to Moses, "Let me alone, and I will destroy them and blot out their names from under the heavens, and I will make you, Moses, a nation far more numerous than they." Yet Moses intercedes, as he does time and time again, best exemplified when God relents and delivers the second tablet. This Parsha is filled with rich prose. Man does not live on bread alone. You must befriend the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And impress these words upon your heart and inscribe them on the doorposts of your home. But it's the earnestness of this story that is so compelling. In only a few paragraphs, we learn so much of who Moses is and what he means to us as Jews. To the end, Moses is strong and a trusted advocate, willing to stand up to God, and he is devoted and perseveres on their behalf. Knowing the many faults of these people, he defends them and is often punished for doing so. He's honest, telling them that the only reason that God continues to protect them is God's obligation to honor his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses is loving. Moses is wise and optimistic. He can admonish and he can forgive. So if we were to paint a picture of such a man, what portrait would emerge from each of our individual palettes? I'm going to back up a little bit. A few months ago, Rabbi Blake asked me if I would be interested in this Devar Torah. Why me? Well, the first thing that came to mind was knowing that I was a man of few words, and he was confident that this would certainly ensure a pleasantly brief summer talk. And he was right. I have no record of going to Torah study classes, and although I enjoyed the comfort of Shabbat services on Zoom during the COVID, I certainly would never be considered a regular, and as for being scholarly, I actually prefer a good British mystery to Talmud study. Yet, Rabbi Blake got me when he talked about Moses. What an extraordinary figure. What unflinching devotion to his people who at 120 years of age dies unwillingly as all humans do. So why me? Well, I think that Rabbi knew that my dad was my Moses. And as my dad approached 108 years of age almost a year ago, I truly believed I had the real deal. I still feel his presence. What a wonderful Jewish father. Like Moses, he led my clan. He was humble, kind, loving, and devoted. He was my teacher. He believed in me. He was certainly my best advocate and often my biggest critic, and like Moses, when frustrated, he would throw the book at me. Although he did not daven every morning like his father before him, he never took our Jewish faith for granted. He insisted that my sister and I had a solid Jewish education and made sure that we were prepared as Jews to meet the world. And despite witnessing and experiencing anti-Semitism in America and abroad, he did not allow these experiences to color his optimism for a better future. So where am I going with this discussion? I always thought that these qualities came instinctively to Dad. But what Jew does not know the story of Deuteronomy? What Jew doesn't know that despite our faults as humans, we need to be shown optimism? We need to teach and be taught. We need to be encouraged at times and admonished at others. We need devotion and be devoted. And we need to learn forgiveness. These are the legacies and the lessons of our Moses. We are an imperfect people. Moses tells us this over and over again, and yet he continued to lead and persevere to get his people to a better future. More fascinating, I think, is that despite their resistance, the Israelites listened. They followed and they flourished. How interesting that we as Jews learned these lessons from someone we did not deify, as he was one of us. So I hope you see where I'm going with this. Thank you, Rabbi Blake, for the gift of remembrance as I approach my dad's first yahrzeit. My sweet dad was my Moses, but we all have someone who has taught us these lessons and brought us to where we are today as Jews. So maybe this Shabbat I pass the rabbi's gift on to you. And tonight, remember that canvas as you take paint from your palette and recall your Moses. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Koach, Dr. Glassman, thank you so much for your beautiful words. As you mentioned, we are imperfect as human beings. Sometimes we need admonishment, and sometimes, like in this moment of our service, we need a little extra help, a little courage, a little blessing. Maybe it's us, or maybe it's someone we love or know, or maybe even a stranger in the world who's in need of a little extra healing this Shabbat, whether it's healing of the mind, body, or spirit. And so we are going to think of those people in our lives or ourselves who are in need of healing. If there's someone who is on your mind or in your heart tonight, please rise and feel free to say their name aloud or in your hearts as I look around the room. We also acknowledge the members of our community here at WRT who are in need of some extra healing. Eliyahu Mecha Ben Sarah, Joan Tucker, Jeff Rothberg, Robert Zagoria, Tony DeLappa, Gina DeLappa, Naomi Bat Moshe Esther, Mark Sosnowitz, Matthew Atwood, Stephen Bleckman, Andrew, Gloria Byron, Anthony and Elizabeth Dankner, Mordechai Ben Yaakov, Georgette Nussbaum, Deborah Kapnick, Nicole Schusse, Neil Glaskell, Leah Greenspan, Andrea Reiner, Chaim Ben Sipora, Masha Bat Sora, Aviva Tzila Bat Esther Bela, Jeffrey Millman, Ken Master, Mary Deutsch, Chava Bat Zara, Eliyahu Chaim Ben Fredel, Sheila Fried, Malka Tzipora Basracho, Tamar Bat Malka, Heschel Meir Ben David Achana, Shai Aviad Ben Balfura, Howard Cowan, and Rosa Aurora Ramirez Vera. We continue together on page 371 with Misha Berach. We continue with Aleinu on page 586. Please rise.
שלא שם חלקנו קהל וגורלנו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Page 592. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. as we approach this moment of memory, we rise in a particular order to acknowledge those in our community who have lost a loved one. If someone you know or love has died within the last 7 days, please rise at this time. If you have a loved one who passed away in the last 30 days, the period of Shloshim, please rise. If you have lost a loved one within the last year, please rise. And if this evening marks the yahrzeit of a loved one, please rise. We all rise together in solidarity with our mourners, and we acknowledge those in our community who have died recently. Beatrice Steyer, mother of Robert Steyer, Richard Steyer, and Elizabeth Steyer. Mark Gitlin, brother of Rebecca Eisenberg. Ruth Price, mother of Ellen Rosenberg. Irving Scharf, father of Andrew Scharf and Susan Scharf. Marvin Lipton, father of Denise Rothberg. Joseph Lewin, husband of Constance Lewin and father of Deborah Lewin Weiner and Jack Lewin. We also remember those whose Yahrzeiten are observed on this Shabbat. Celia A. Aloff, Morris Meyerson, Max Burney, Riva Blatt, Sarah Samuels, Minnie Sobel, Stuart Blitzstein, Harry Bronstein, Bess Byron, Laura Fitterer, Carmen Correa, I. Elmer Ecker, Clara Fialk, Sarah Gelb, Jenny Goldstein, Natalie Goldstein, Beatrice Gover, Abe Gruber, Mindy Joy Herman, Vivian Isembert, Howard Jacobs, William Yeager, Jean Kaufman, Thelma Kestner, Saul Lair, Helen Leipzig, Jesse B. Menon, Teresa Myers, Andrew Novick, Carol Forsheimer, Lillian Klein Pollock, Louis Roseman, Sadie Rosenberg, Tyler Rosenberg, Arthur Rosenthal, Herbert Ross, Ralph Shaler, Gloria Siriani, Paul Siriani, Miriam Tetsis, Walter Usin, and Richard Zellner. If I've inadvertently mispronounced a name, or if you have a name that you'd like to add this evening, please feel free to do so at this time. We continue together with Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiru'uteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei amayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu announcements before we conclude our service. First, we hope that you will join us on Zoom tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for Torah study. We begin with a brief minyan and then with an opportunity to study Torah together. It's a wonderful community to join, and we hope that you will participate in our learning with us. A few additional events coming up in the weeks ahead. First, this Sunday, August 1st at 8:30 p.m., WRT will be participating in an initiative of the Reform Movement's Religious Action Center by meeting with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to discuss voting rights. So it's a movement-wide opportunity, but WRT's Racial Justice Working Group will be attending as a group, and the entire congregation is invited to participate as well. Additionally, next Thursday, August 5th at 7:30 p.m., WRT's Summer Stage Concert is back this year with a tribute to Bob Dylan. It should be a wonderful evening. This year it's taking place at Kol Ami. I thought it would be fun for us to partner, to collaborate with my husband's congregation, Kol Ami, and so they'll be hosting us this year, and it's a really amazing, wonderful group of clergy, of very talented members of our congregation, and some leading musicians in the area. And so we hope you'll join us for our summer stage concert on Thursday evening. Finally, I would like to thank our greeters, Nancy and David Michaels, and by thanking them, I would like to also add that if you would be willing to participate in ushering over the high holidays, we very much need ushers to volunteer for our services, because this year WRT will be holding upwards of 30 services over the course of the high holidays. And so we are very much in need of ushers, and that is a very sacred way to spend your time over the course of the high holidays. Nancy, anything to add? Okay, so just reach out to Nancy with any questions, or if you'd like to participate. I'd like to thank Pete Malinverni, again, our pianist and conductor, and I would like to offer our thanks again to Dr. Chip Glassman for the beautiful words of Torah that you shared with us this evening. So we'll conclude our service tonight just with a little bit of singing. I'm not going to tell you the name of the song because it has no words, so just join along with us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
mask. I've never worn it before. I think am I sedating or something? And every time I breathe in, it like sucks the
Oh,
fabric
that's
into
the
my mouth.
worst.
Yeah.
This was so nice.
This was really nice. It was over in an hour.
Also that. Also that. And Fran and Alice, the two women with white hair. I know them from Ellen's Seder like years ago.
Oh,
Apparently
cool.
they're Bob's cousin. Bob's cousin.
Oh.
And they were like,
Can I get these things for you?
that
or-
would be
okay.
great. Thank you. They were like,